Welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show. Another exciting show, another exciting guest. Today we're going to talk about a new podcast that's about to launch on the Iambeast Network, a show that I put out a couple years ago just to, as a teaser to see the response that we was going to get from the idea. It went over beautifully. Now it's time to put some hustle behind the muscle, behind the dream. Today on the show, we have three law enforcement agents, different regions, who their years of experience says a lot. What they've seen says a lot. The name of the podcast is simply this, Black Shield, a beautifully collaborated podcast around three brothers in arms whose job is to protect and serve. On the show today, we have Andre Ewing from Cincinnati, Rasheed Lightford from Atlanta, and the one and the only, you guys listen to him on all the podcast platforms there is, the one, the only, Xcalibur Miller. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Black Shield. Before we get into Black Shield, let's start with Dre. We're going to do a complete introduction of each one of you guys, and then we're going to get right down to the nitty gritty. How about that? So, Dre, tell a little bit about yourself.
Well, people know me as Brother Dre from Curse Breakers 300. Getting a lot of reviews here lately, even on Facebook, TikTok, especially on what had just currently happened in Cincinnati, being in law enforcement for up to 30 years. So I've been in this game for a while, facing retirement soon. So anything that I say does not reflect the Cincinnati Police Department, no agency or no organization. Will speak freely on my opinion as Brother Dre and Curse Breakers 300 and his journey in law enforcement.
Sounds like a winner. Rasheed, tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Hey man, it's I go by Rasheed. My government is Robert. Go by Rasheed. That's the Arabic name for director, leader. Been in law enforcement for 25 plus years. Um, I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana. Currently reside down here in the metropolitan area of Georgia, or Atlanta, Georgia. Um, just like brother said prior to, yeah, I'm a police officer currently. I'm in the command staff at my current department, but anything that I say is not reflective of their policies, their thoughts. I'm not speaking for anyone but myself as a black man in America, and that's pretty much it.
And the one, the only, the man himself, Mr. Xcalibur Miller. What's going on? Tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, X.
What's up, Dre? Ernest Xcalibur Miller. Got the podcast, The Miller Experience. We on Spotify, YouTube, any other platform you can think of. We on there. Been in law enforcement for 14 years, 3 years detention agency, 4 years municipal, and 7 years state. Right, like the guy said, man, my views right now has nothing to do with my agency, just my views. And I think the beauty of this show, that people get to see another side of law enforcement that the media don't show.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Black Shield is an idea that me and Brother Dre came up with, and it was so funny because it evolved during a time that we saw men of color getting victimized by law enforcement. And what I thought was really funny was the fact that here's a brother that's in law enforcement that says, you know what, I don't want to turn a blind eye to what I'm seeing, but I really want to have a voice. I want to create a voice. We sat down, we collaborated, we came up with stories. But you know what I told Dre? And then when we brought Rasheed on and X, I said, I want the show to be organic, which means I want you guys to talk about things that really impact, really face, not what the society is really facing. And you guys have seen this like crazy. But let's go a little bit deeper. Let's talk about something that's really just happened recently that's all over the place. The situation that happened in Cincinnati with the police shooting. And let me first say, this is no reflection on anybody's police department or law enforcement in general. This is what I might call the bird's eye view from people that deal with this every single day. Now, let me recap this from what I understand. And we'll talk about more. We're not, this is just the one that's surfacing right now. Here's a stolen car. That's what I heard. A stolen car. And a fleeing in place. Now, I'm not law enforcement, but I'm thinking, am I going to risk my life and other people's life over what may be a Class D misdemeanor? I think it's different when you cross the state lines. I think they call that Grand Theft Auto. But the bottom line is, when do when do we really sit back and evaluate the approach to a crime? We're talking about a stolen vehicle that now resulted into a killing, a father taking the law into his own hand, striking another brother of the arms in law enforcement. Where does it draw the line? Let's start with Dre. What's your take on it? Because you're from Cincinnati. You have to deal with this every single day. And my, I pray every single day for all of you guys and all my law enforcement buddies. But Dre, you have to deal with this every day. What's it like there for you?
Oh, it's frustrating. Let's first start off, man. It's an honor to be on a panel like this with brother Rasheed and brother X, two strong brothers that's not afraid to come forward and to speak. And this is what we need more of because society has silenced our strong black officers. And if enough speak out and speak the truth, change will come. So I'm gonna
Mm.
start off with that and thank you, brother Dre, for I Am a Beast Network and putting the black shield out because we are here not to play sides, but to save lives. I'm going to
Ooh,
say it again for people who missed it.
wow.
We're not here to take sides. We're here to save lives. And if we can save lives where your child or your teenager did not make it based on confrontations with the police, we're going to want to give you the knowledge to say you may be pissed off that day, but you walked away. You
Wow.
may be upset that day, but you walked away. Your rights might have been violated, but you walked away. And then we have enough strong attorneys in place that can, what I call, give you the restructure that's needed and to make sure these things don't continue to happen. And that's where you have a team unit that comes into place. So the frustration, even with legislature just here's a felony, a stolen vehicle. But even if they get caught, even if they comply, they usually walk out with a misdemeanor,
Hmm.
receiving stolen property, and you can go on your way. So the officers even have to be better trained to say, is this worth it in this process?
Mm-hmm.
And if guns are involved, then you need to make sure you take the proper cover
Hmm.
and concealment to make sure your approach is safe for everyone involved. And I make sure I take those thoughts in perspective every day I get into that police car.
Let me ask you a question. I mean, um, Rashi and X can chime in on this too, but that's just take in consideration if that was you, either one of you guys, in that situation. We're talking a stolen car that resulted in the situation where several individuals lost their lives. What would you have done? I know this is hypothetical, but you've been on, all three of you guys have been on the force long enough. But once again, let me go back and say this. We're talking about a stolen car. We're not talking about individuals that have wanted for murder, wanted for armed robbery. Most people that steal cars are usually between the ages of a teenager, maybe in their mid 20s. So you know you're dealing with a juvenile somewhat mindset. What's your take on that, either one of you guys? How would you have approached that?
Um, I'm gonna say like this. Um, it's stair steps. Okay, just because it's a stolen car, and usually when they steal cars, they're going to do other crimes,
Right.
more serious crimes. They go do a armed robbery. They'll go break into a business or a residence, home invasion. They don't just typically steal a car just a joyride these days. Yeah, sometimes they do, but more times than not, we find that major crimes involve a stolen vehicle. And just because these kids, we don't. And let me kind of correct you on one thing. We don't know that they wanted for murder or not. You don't know who you're dealing with in a stolen
Exactly.
vehicle. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's kids and sometimes it's not. But these kids made it popular with the Kia boys, and they made it. And Kias at one point are still the older models are very easy to steal, and they taught them on YouTube and Facebook and all that. Or and forgive me because I'm not a social media guru, but all these social media platforms were showing these kids how to steal the vehicles, right? So they were at one point taking it as a game. They'll steal a car, go to another one, steal one. So what happens is, let me ask you this: in Indiana, your car insurance gone up in the past couple of years?
Yeah.
And I'm sure it has. Yeah, ours in Atlanta has. I'm sure in Ohio, your insurance has gone up. And why is your insurance going up so high? Not just because of inflation, but because of all this theft. So yeah, it seems minor to folks, but everybody's paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's paying for it, one way or the other. So when these kids are asking their mother for the brand new pair of Jordans, and mama said, "Hey, I got to pay the car insurance this month. I can't get it." Some of these kids going to get it themselves, right? They're breaking in cars to take guns. They're not trying to take cell phones or money. They're looking for guns. It's the easiest thing to sell. It's the easiest to get more money off of them, and then use those things to commit other crimes. Now I'll let Brother X talk, and then if we have more time, then I go into him. We all got stories of the same incident. I've been behind stolen cars, chasing them. Matter of fact, the other day, I'm in command staff. I wear a suit or a Class A uniform to work, and I was chasing a car theft the other day. It was a carjacking, and I'm in the woods with my shiny shoes on and all that. You know what I'm saying? Chasing these cats, and he was caught with a gun. You know what I'm saying? But we all have those experiences and those stories. But
Hold
I'll
that.
concede to
Hold
Brother
that.
X.
Hold that story before we go to X, because the same thing happened with X not too long ago. Guns
Mm-hmm.
have clearly changed law enforcement now. The right to carry. You don't know if somebody's got the right to carry. Those that don't have the right to carry. Now, here's a situation, and I'm pretty sure Dre's been in a situation, but it happened to you recently. You got a gun involved. How do you approach that? Because you don't know, but
Well,
a gun is there.
well, in Georgia, in Georgia, it's open carry, so everybody can have a gun as long as you're not prohibited by law, like a convicted
So in
felon.
South
You know what I mean? Or you have a TPO against you, something like that. Is that the same in South Carolina too?
same in South Carolina, yeah, open carry.
Yeah, so everybody got guns. You know what I'm saying? So when we pull, yeah, everybody got a gun. So you kind of hyper vigilant on how you approach folks, but in law enforcement, you're taught everybody got a gun until everybody's armed until they're not, until they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, or 9.5 times, I'm gonna say 99% of the time, when folks are stealing cars and they're doing a crime, they are armed.
When you pulled it, when
Let me
you
tell you
was
something, Dre. It's so bad. Even if I take somebody, I don't know how it is for you guys, but in South Carolina, most folks run out of gas a lot, man, for some reason. And even if I take them to the gas station to get gas, I pat them down if I get in my car to see if they got a gun on.
Mm-hmm.
really,
Yeah,
not
that's how bad it is.
hold down, X. That's funny. Why does everybody there run out of gas? Y'all don't
I
have
don't
enough.
know. People don't look at their gas gauge for some reason, man. I don't know why, man. It's hilarious to me, man. And I get on. I like, dude, y'all pass by 5 different gas stations. You mean to tell me you ain't think look to see you need gas?
Let me ask. Let me go back to a question for a minute. Rashi, you said you went to you. They was in a stolen vehicle, correct? You
Yeah,
chased them in your car. You chased them. Then you got out on a foot foot race with them.
yeah, yeah,
But they were
yeah.
a gun was involved. So did they have the right paperwork? Were they allowed to carry the gun?
Um, to my knowledge, he was not a prohibited carrier, which means to my knowledge, he wasn't a convicted felon at that point. He didn't have any kind of protective orders against him. So yeah, in Georgia, you can have it.
Okay,
He was. But the thing is, he committed a felony with the gun, and he was in possession of a gun
Right.
during the commission of a felony. So it's a charge in itself. But yeah,
this may sound crazy as hell, but I'm gonna say it like it is. He has a gun. He's in a stolen car. He had no idea that he was in a stolen car.
yeah, he took he took it by force. He took the car. He carjacked the person earlier that day and just was chilling. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what all he was doing, but we have a camera system here. I won't say the name, but we have a camera system here, and it's a camera network. And we were following him all over the city. He just kept popping up, and he was just doing. So I don't know what he was doing the whole time. But once we finally corralled him, yeah, when we called him, he had a gun in his backpack.
Were you afraid at
He
any
wasn't. He was
moment?
smart enough to get rid of it.
were you afraid at any moment? Let me rephrase this. You have to be afraid anytime you start to engage with dealing with an unknown felon or anything that involves a crime. When do you, what safety precautions did you put in place to protect you? Because you're on your merry way doing whatever you're doing. Then all of a sudden, this guy, you see the place or whatever. Now you're in hot pursuit. Does adrenaline take over? What's the protocol here so the people would know? Because most individuals will be like, I don't think I would have pursued like that. I get it. You in an adrenaline rush or whatever, but what takes over? The adrenaline rush. What's the protocol that you did for this situation?
Well, I mean, and I won't use the word afraid. Yeah, you cautious. I'm not gonna say fearful, but training kicks in. I mean, honestly, you once you start thinking, if as a person, if you're thinking about what would I do, you might be like, man, I'll be kind of nervous to do that. But once you get in the situation, your training kicks in. Your training kicks in, and all that stuff is in it. I don't even think about anything other than what I'm doing. I'm looking at my mission. I'm looking at the speed of the vehicle. I'm looking at surrounding other vehicles, people walking on the street. That's one thing people don't understand. When you're driving the vehicle at high speeds and you're on the radio, you're giving information to your dispatcher so other officers can get in the area and see what's going on. You're trying to coordinate. You have to be cognizant of where you are on the map, so you know that okay, if he bails out here, I need to set up a perimeter here, here, and here. I need to make sure that if it gets into a gunfight, and all these are going through your mind in split seconds. If it goes to a gunfight, I need to make sure that I know where my rounds are going. Is there barriers between me and them? If he gets out before me, am I going to use my vehicle as cover? Am I going to be able to get anywhere else? Am I going to be able to get a high power rifle out of the trunk? All these things are going through your head in, I mean, one split second, less than a split second, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going high speeds. You have to document the fact that how fast you're going, the volume of traffic, all this stuff is you take in consideration, and you're giving this information over the radio at the same time simultaneously on the computer sometimes. Depending on if you're on a specialized unit, you might have a second radio talking to your other unit. It's just a bunch of stuff that goes on. I've been on SWAT, I've been a K9 officer, I've been on specialized task force. And so, speaking from experience, yeah, adrenaline takes over, but your training kicks in above all of that, right? So, my issue was I want to get this guy in safe. Do I pit him? Do I stop it quick? But in metro areas, traffic is congested, so you can't really pit him because you're going to pit him into somebody else. So you have to kind of get units in the area, get officers in the area, and try to get him corralled, try to get him cornered. And my biggest thing is I hope that they get out the vehicle. I want them to get out and run because right now the vehicle is a deadly weapon. They drive a reckless abandon. So you want them to get out of the vehicle. At least have enough assets in the area to surround them, and then it's a waiting game. We just stand by, get a perimeter set up, a good perimeter, an external perimeter and an internal perimeter, and we try to get them caught up. And that's what we did. We waited them out. We had K9 on the ground looking for them. Yeah, we had K9 up. The helicopter didn't come up that time for whatever reason, but we had K9 on the ground, and then we just systematically piece by piece, and also citizens were a great help because we were in a residential area, so they were coming out. Yeah, I saw him run this way. I saw him run this way. So we had real time information on where this guy was, so we were able to surround him, get him cornered, and take him into custody without incident. It could have gone different if he'd have had that gun in his hand. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It could have gone different, but thank God he didn't. He had it in his backpack. We took him into custody, and upon searching him, upon his arrest, the gun was located.
X, you just had a similar incident. Let me tell you where I'm going with this part. I want the viewers to go into the mind of each one of you guys with an experience, and some of these experiences could go wrong and stuff. But I think we here, and we talked about this off the camera, which we'll get into, the media picking what they want, controlling the narrative, but there's no greater narrative than the narrative that you guys experience coming from your own perspective on what you deal with every single day. X, take me down the journey, which I already know one. I already know one, but I'm gonna let you pick out one.
Yeah, I can't talk about that particular one because we haven't went to court yet for that one. So I know the one I got in the foot chase, we haven't went to court for that. But nah, we've been in dealing with a high speed chase, same situation. Rasheed said, man, it all depends on the situation, on weather. Y'all guys know it, weather plays a big factor. If it's raining outside, sometimes we can't do it. Depending on how hard it is raining outside, the location of the area. If it's going into city limits, we can't chase somebody because too many pedestrians out, too many vehicles involved. And God forbid, you know how some of these jokers don't care, man. They're gonna hit anybody just trying to get away from us, man. So we got to fall back from that. Now, but the gun is brandished. Now, I want to ask Dre, brother Dre, in the situation in Cincinnati, was a gun shown the reason why the cop shot him?
Well, that's what was stated, apparently by the cops, that he brandished the gun. But what has caused the uproar is that there's no video footage that actually show a clear
Gotcha.
picture
Okay.
of the gun being uh, banished, and that's the issue with the whole problem. If you think about it, it's really been I'm gonna say white America has built this Frankenstein. They built this process of no trust. They built this system to where we have seen shootings that were horrible shootings, shouldn't have happened, and innocent black men have been killed just being in a car saying, "Hey, I'm gonna do this," pop pop, and the officer would say, "Hey, I fear for my life." And we've heard it so many times that black America got completely frustrated. And so white America law enforcement has built this monster, and now it's basically come back to haunt them because there's no trust. So I get where black society is saying, man, I'm frustrated because they keep lying to us. And the George Floyd was so blatant that people were like, okay, now how can you deny this truth? It's dead in your face. And so now with the video is blurry. Man, like I know, people gonna go, huh?
Yeah.
It's blurry. Well,
Yeah.
he did have a gun. Well, we trying to see it. And then they say, well, we heard something that dropped. And then they show a still shot of that it dropped and where it was say, and then they said he picked it back up, but we don't have any proof right now. They haven't released any body cams to show that he picked it back up and then ran. And this is where you have their attorneys questioning how the shooting took place and was he just running? Did he actually drop the gun and keep continues to run? Because they said that he dropped it, but then they said he picked it back up. Now this is where once again I was trying to let people know if you put the police in positions to draw your fate, you probably gonna lose that particular situation.
And that's what I was trying to get to. Because Dre originally asked, "What would we do in that situation?" That's why I asked you, "Was the gun
Right.
brandished?" And I'm gonna keep giving you commands to drop that weapon, and you're not dropping it, bro. At the end of the day, I'm going home to my family.
Okay, but
At the
when
end of the
do
day,
when? Let me ask this question. You or Dre or Rashi can answer this. That incident, according to what they said, the father saw the body cam of the shooting. He took law into his own hand. I get it. He's a father. I get it. They're
yeah,
law enforcement. And me and you talked about this, X. I get it. But when does it be? Let me rephrase this because I want to make sure I get this right. How do we contain lawlessness? Dre just said it. The media has impacted this fear. I get it. White people built this law enforcement society that's coming back to bite them in the ass where the people don't trust. Open season on blacks have always, in the last couple of years, been a thing in Cincinnati. Me and Dre, we talked about this, from even to the point to where I remember living there and they had martial lockdown. I never been in a city that had martial lockdown
that's crazy.
because you shoot unarmed men of color and nobody has taken accountability. This is lawlessness on both sides, but I get it. You guys are brothers, but you're still law enforcement that have to also protect your brothers. Where do we draw the line? Either one of you guys. Where do we draw the line? So I can feel safe. Like you said, X, Rasheed, Dre, so you guys can go home too. But I want to feel safe because remember back in the day, the police officers came to the school and everybody wanted to be a cop. Officer
Yeah,
friendly.
Yeah,
it's a friendly. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, let me say one thing real quick. Just to kind of get this out. A lot of people, they look at black men that are police officers as sellouts, and they say y'all was the slave catchers back in the day, and that's how law enforcement came about. And that's totally not true. That was an aspect of it, but that's not true, because even in ancient culture, especially in cultures of West Africa, for instance, 'cause I'm familiar a lot with the Ghana area, Senegal. You had, they weren't called police, but you had groups of individuals out of the village that dealt with law. They dealt with making sure everybody and all the rules and regulations are upheld. So it's always been that way. So it's not a sellout situation. And then, as much as people don't like the police, boy, they can't wait to call when something happens. You know what I'm saying? They hate the police, but they'll call for nothing. Because my sister, she arguing with me. I need y'all to come and get her out the house. Wait a minute, you don't even like the police. You know what I'm saying? Why you want me in your house? So let me say that. So, but as far as I kind of see where you were getting at. You're trying to get what's the difference between us chasing a person, they come out alive, in this situation where they chase a guy and they come out dead. Everything is different, right? Everything's different. But I think the biggest question is, everybody wants to know what the police, well, you can't do this and you can't do that. What you need to understand is what the police can do, what the law gives the police the power to do. And the law gives the police power to use deadly force in a lot of certain situations. One situation that you don't know is taking a piece of equipment off a police officer's uniform. So if you grab me and take my taser off, I have the right to use deadly force on you. The law gives me that right to use deadly force on you. People don't know that. Oh, I just grabbed his taser. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm going to argue is the fact that you can incapacitate me with my taser, then take my gun and shoot me or stump me out. So I'm going home, like Brother X said. I'm going home. So guess what's going to happen? You know what I'm saying? It's going to be it's going to be ugly for you. People don't also understand is when you running with a gun and you run into a populated area. If I can articulate the fact that you are a threat to that area, which you clearly are, if you're running a stolen vehicle, reckless abandon, wrecking a vehicle, getting out, running with a gun in your hand, your life can be taken for the sake of everybody else that's surrounding you. So that's what you have to understand. That it's not just always what the police can't do; it's what can they do. And more times than not, a lot of these. Go ahead, Dre. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't even think about that. You brought up a good point. What can they do? But then on the flip side of that, I think Dre talked about this, pulling somebody over, and you see it all over TikTok where the white guy's going around going up there. Well, the constitutional says blah 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 blah. I'm only allowed to give you this and give you that.
Sovereign citizen. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like how do you?
That's sovereign.
People are now using the Constitution to protect themselves against police. What's your guys' take on that?
Well, what I say is, you know your rights, and with that's typically when an officer walks up to you outside with no probable cause, no provocation, say, "Hey, who are you? Do you have license? Let me an ID you." And by law, you don't have to provide that information. If he's not suspecting you of a crime, if he's not investigating something, then you can tell him to kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? Yes, you have that. But if you're and that's where people getting it messed up. If you're in a vehicle and you get pulled over, that is a detention. You know what I'm saying? You are not free to leave. That is an investigative detention. He's pulling you over for something. So yes, he's suspecting you of a crime because he pulled you over.
Yeah,
but
Rasheed,
I had some kids do that. I don't answer questions.
Yeah, Rasheed, think about this for a minute. Come on now. How many times have men of color? This just happened to my buddy just last week in Fishers. You know Fishers. You used to live here. He's coming out of a hotel in Fishers. Boom, he gets pulled over. He calls me and says, "Dre, I got pulled over." I said, "What was the reason?" Well, he said, "I didn't turn the Turks on." Well, that's bullshit. Now, how many cops have used the power of the badge in the gun to intimidate?
What that when you fighting in court, Dre?
Huh?
Yeah.
If you felt like, and see, this is a problem right here, man. If you felt like you've been screwed by law enforcement, fighting in court, that's the perfect place to fight. Fighting in court. Don't sit there and have a debate with me on the side of the road. Don't sit there and go on social media and argue.
Right.
Fight in court. That's why I went in law enforcement. Change.
Okay. So let me ask this question.
Instead of me complaining about it, go ahead.
Let me ask this question. Let's stick with you, and we'll go with Rasheed and then Dre. Why did you get in law enforcement?
Because I was tired of being, man. I done got stopped for, I know the thing unnecessary, man. In Jacksonville,
Mm-hmm.
Florida, and a situation happened to me in Sumter County. Uh, I didn't like. So that particular day when I got out of the detention center that morning, I went ahead and applied for at a police department.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I was like, I don't have a record. You know what I'm saying? I don't have nothing going on in my background. My credit was good. Let me go ahead
Mm-hmm.
and apply, man. I'm sick and tired of this. Instead of me going on a war path, complaining about it on social media, instead of me just bitching to everybody, complaining about, oh man, woe is me. The man did this to me. The man did this, that to me. Dude, I went ahead inside and been to change.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's the
I,
problem. If you know, okay, let's say you got pulled over, and let's say because driving while black, let's just use that hypothetically. Instead of complaining about it right then, just go to court and fight it.
But what are you fighting? It's you against the officer.
Oh, these days it ain't you. These days you got social media, you got live. You can put live
Right.
on your phone and get all that. He recording, you recording. That's why I tell people record, man. Record. I don't mind you record me because I'm above reproach. I want you to record, but that's what you do. These back in the day, back when you know, and I mean, real quick, let me sit back. And I'll answer your question that you just asked, X, and then I'll go back into that point.
Okay.
I became a police officer. I always wanted to be a cop. I mean, in third grade, the little kids on school ground was beating up other kids, and I was the one to go get them off of them. Them kids
Rasheed,
was
Rasheed,
snatching bags.
Rasheed.
Yo,
I remember that. Remember?
yeah, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, when they was bag snatching on Halloween, I was
Yeah.
the one to go get the bags back. I've always wanted to do it. But I've been victimized by police. 'Cause I hung with gangs. I wasn't a gangbanger, but I hung while my buddies was. So I hung with them. So in essence, I was a gangbanger right in their eyes. So I've been victimized. I've been beaten by the police because my first and last name didn't sound like a regular first and last name. And it was after curfew. Left my ID at my girl out of Indianapolis. White boy, it was a white and black cop pulled me over, asked me my name. I couldn't produce ID. They took me behind the store and whooped me. Took
Wow.
me home and asked my mother my name. When she confirmed my name, they I was like, oh shit. But guess what? I came in contact with both of them when I became a police officer. But that's the story for a
Mm-hmm.
different day. But
Mm-hmm.
I became a police officer because I've always wanted to be a police officer. Did I necessarily say I want to get in to make change at that point? No, I just always wanted to do it. But I guess in essence I did because I always wanted to be a protector because I've always been that. So that's why I did that. Right. So a lot of stuff you don't know that you can be pulled over for. And if you're in an area that a task force is working for whatever reason, if they're working for a prostitution sting, if they're working to slow down speeders, if they're looking to make contact with you, so they'll find any reason to get in your vehicle to see who you are. And that's the bullshit stuff like the tail light, the plate light, all that stuff. But I also understand criminals use this. They'll take the plate light out so that you can't see the plate. They got the plate flippers now, so you can't see the plate, so you don't know who you're dealing with.
Mm.
So you make contact with the people. Our department and most departments around the U.S. are taught to introduce yourself and tell that citizen why you're coming in contact with them. Hi, my name is Officer So and So. The reason for the stop is this. That nullifies any reason why you stopped me. I just told you.
Mm.
A lot of people get upset because they don't want to be inconvenienced. You know what I'm saying? So they're like, man, why are you stopping me? And now you turn it into a situation, like brother said, fight in court. You know where you were when you got stopped. You can get on the phone right then, down 911, say, ma'am, I want to stop. A cop is being rude to me. I need his supervisor or his name, or look at his name. Ask him. Most cops are required to give you their name and badge number at this point.
Mm.
And then go home, take the ticket, take whatever he's gonna give you, go home, document this, and get with your lawyer and break them off in court. These days, yeah, back in the day, didn't work like that. These days, yeah, you gonna have a problem because anytime we get a complaint in our department, we take it serious. Whether it be small, whether it be minute, we take it serious, and we take it. We investigate any complaint as if it was a damn murder. I'm being honest with you. We'll pull GPS location for that vehicle. We'll pull that guy's body camera. We even sometimes, hey, let me see your phone. Were you texting? What was going on? We do everything because now society ain't going for the cover up. They're just not doing it. That's one good thing that's come out of this. I will say that they're not going for the cover up. Only thing I hate is that they just push the narrative that they want to push.
Mm. Dre, why'd you get in
Dre,
law
I'm gonna come
enforcement?
back on. I got my mom nursing home blowing me up right now. I'm coming
Oh,
back on, okay?
okay. Dre, why'd you get in law enforcement?
Man, let me tell you something. Law enforcement is the hardest job in America. Point blank. It's the hardest job in America. Split second decisions. You have with the power of a pen to change somebody's life immediately. These are some of the things that I looked at. So when I was younger, I got pulled over by a cop. I'm coming from the gym, so back then, Dre, I'm up here barrel, I mean, in competition mode. I got on my bandana sweats, uh, tinted tinted windows,
Yeah.
and I get pulled over. Even in that moment, even back then, my father had educated me. Okay, educated me in the early 80s in high school and even early 90s. He educated me all through my life. Man, you put both hands on that steering wheel, you roll down all your windows, and everything you say is yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. He said, because automatically you at a disadvantage
Yeah.
off the rip. He said the perception, the mindset, this man is nervous. You have no idea what his mindset is approaching you. And that's exactly what I did. Made sure I was on point. Even though I knew and felt the officer violated my rights, I still sat back and gave him the ultimate respect. Now, what's deep is we go to court. When we go to court, even back then, my father had raised me how to present myself in courtrooms. I come in with an entire suit and tie. I'm buttered down, clean cut, and I did my research on how to respond in a courtroom.
Mm.
When the officer got up to tell his side, he was confused, and they asked, "Is that the person you stopped at defense table A?" And he said, "Well, it looks like him."
Mm.
But he wasn't dressed like that day. He even said it, which already messed him up based on my articulation and even the questions. And he had some flaws on the citation. And the judge said, not guilty. And it was a red light violation. So those were the things that said, you know what? I need to get in the game to
Mm.
be able to change the game
Right.
and to be that face. Because
Mm.
I'm gonna tell you, people want you want to see Brother Dre on your radio run if you feel like you being violated, so I can keep you calm and make sure that your mind is focused on getting to the next step and giving you those resources that you need. Because when we get in court, and Brother Rasheed could attest to this, man, we look crazy. Guys come in looking foolish. They look like, man, I'm gonna rob you in this situation where their articulation is terrible,
Mm-hmm.
their presentation is horrible, and they usually get found guilty because they walk in court ignorant.
Mm.
And then they behind enemy lines and they don't know how to adjust. And then they got to pay an attorney or what they call a public pretender who could care less about them.
Mm.
So we got to, that's why I said we have to become aware and educate ourselves on how to stay alive and present the proper information and evidence.
You brought up
That's right.
something. You brought up something that was really cool. You brought up something really cool. You want Brother Dre to be called on a situation like that. You want somebody like Rashi to be called on a situation like that. That isn't always the case. But you also brought up something that was really crucial here: knowing how to respond to law enforcement. What do you guys think are the three biggest issues that civilians deal with when it comes into dealing with you guys in law enforcement? Is it our attitude? Is it our ignorance of the law? What is? Because you're right, Dre. You gonna have to either know how to play the game or you're gonna get victimized by the game. Why do we keep getting victimized by the game? Either one of you guys.
Well, like you said, not knowing how to respond, not knowing how to articulate yourself. The biggest thing is you're not, if an officer has made up his mind to do whatever, he's pulled you over, he's made up his mind what he's going to do. Ain't no sense in trying to talk him out of it at that point. Let him go on and do what he's going to do. But like he said, he had his hands on the steering wheel. He had the windows rolled down because put yourself in a law enforcement officer's foot in their perspective. They're pulling you over. They don't know who you are. They don't know what you have, what you've done. If you're wanted for murder, they don't know what's going on with you. So when they're walking up to your car and they can't see in the windows, their senses are heightened. They have their hand on their weapon. You're trained to have your hand on your weapon and just cover it just in case you need to pull it quick. So you're already covered up. You watching, try to see who you have in this vehicle. That's the perspective of a law enforcement officer. As a person, you seen him walk up on you, man. Why he got his hand on his gun? Man, why he even stopped me? You have to be calm, and you have to understand, and like you said, be respectful, because you don't know who you're dealing with on that day. I mean, all police officers shouldn't be police officers. I'm gonna tell you that. And I know a few that should not be police officers. You know, if you're dealing with the cop that's going through a divorce, the cops whose child support is killing him, the cop who's going through finance. You don't know who you're dealing with when he come up, and he's armed. So it's like it's like in any place. I'm not gonna go into the hood me mugging folks. You have to know what you're doing. I'm not going there because I know that could be a potential problem for me.
Right.
I'm not. Egos take place, right? Egos is everybody has egos. So I don't know who's coming up. Just like that cop don't know me, I don't know him. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm gonna give him what he wants and do what he asked me to do. And if I feel that I've been violated, then I'm gonna deal with it on a different scale.
Dre, what you getting ready
And
to
like
say?
Exactly.
brother said, these kids are going to court. Their pants halfway off their tail. They got their hats on. They having to tell, take your hat off, son. They talking the slang, and they not even talking. You don't know what the hell language they talking. And this judge, typically educated person on his bench, looking like Jesus Christ, and they gonna thunder you. They're gonna thunder you because first of all, you disrespectful. You came into their courthouse disrespectful. It's like me coming to your house, Dre, with my motherfucking shoes with mud on, and just walk up in that mud, stomping through your house.
Yeah.
I've disrespected you. So now you look like, okay, cinnamon. You got bring somebody in, and he like, what's up? My name is C. You like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whoop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You automatically on 100. You like, I don't want this kid here. I don't know this
Right.
kid. That anything he does, he gonna fail. Unless he comes to you and say, sir, hey, I'm thank you for allowing me to come to your house. And unless he straightens that up, you ain't gonna have no love for that guy. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And you don't bring him back. And that's what these judges feel too. You come in their courthouse, being smelling like weed, pants hanging off, not even
Hmm.
talking English. They come like, nah, guess what you get? You're not gonna get the benefit of the doubt. You did it.
You
You
guys,
did it.
Correct.
you guys talked about something about some officers don't need to be officers. You don't have to give
Yeah.
any names, but if you had to give a percentage based on the years that you guys have both been in law enforcement, before we wrap up, what's the percentage? Because I know firsthand when I went back to college for my degree, and they had a law enforcement division there at Lorraine Community College, and I'm watching these kids coming in, and I got to be real. There was a bunch of Caucasian kids because I went to Lorraine Community College in Ohio to finish my degree, and I hate to say it, those guys like they've been intimidated, bullied, and beat up. And I asked myself, I remember telling myself, they getting ready to give these guys a gun.
Hmm.
What's your
Hmm.
take on that? How should I know there's no clear cut answer, and you guys aren't here with Black Shield to give clear cut answers. Basically, some insight, education is what the show's about, educating.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
there's no clear way of doing this. You got to fill the job quota. But get real. Some of the people, I'm afraid of someone that, unlike you, Rashi, we grew up, so I know your mindset. I don't know these other people's mindset. What needs to change as far as evaluation? How many times should a person be evaluated in law enforcement to avoid exactly what you just said, Rashi? I don't know who I'm dealing with, and they don't know who they're dealing with. But the difference is you got the badge and the gun. People respect the badge, they fear the gun.
Yeah. I think that things are in place to try to weed out bad actors, right? You have to take a psych test. You go through your interview process. So I don't know what can be done better there. I mean, other than what they're doing, because anybody can lie. I mean, you can lie. You can fake. You've been with females before that you thought, oh, this was the one, and then next thing you know, you got red flags popping. I'm like, where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
So people can fool you. People can fool you. One thing is we need to put more on each other as police officers to make sure we know if we see one of our partners going overboard, we need to stop it. Am I my brother's keeper? That works in race, that works in family, and that works even in business. So if I see one of my fellow officers going too far or getting hyped, I need to pull him back. Hey, bro, I got this. You go calm down. Those are things we need to put more back on ourselves with that, because like Brother Dre was talking about earlier, how this job is one of the is the most is the hardest job in the world, is because You're trained to be a police officer. You're trained to enforce laws and regulations, rules and regulations. But anytime you get a call, you can be a counselor. You have to literally diagnose mental health at a glance, because you walking up on a person and you see certain
Hmm.
attributes of this person that's figured that he might not be all there together. You're not no doctor. The doctors go to school for years to be able to do that. But you're a cop. You have to be a psychologist, a mother, a father, a teacher, a mentor, an enforcer,
Hmm.
all this at one time. And that's a lot to put on a person. So, one good thing, training is real beneficial. And there's a lot of training out there for officers to learn how to do more, these things. But again, you're one person. Doctors go to school to be a doctor, and then they might take a specialty. They're not taking a whole bunch of different schools and stuff and have all that on their mind. Police officers have all this, a piece of everything on their plate. And that's
Hmm.
hard, right? But I think the biggest thing is for us to make sure that we let our counterparts know if we see something going on, hey man, you all right today? Man, I'm going through a divorce. Brother, why don't you take a couple of days off? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They have these things in place in these departments. People just have to use them. Cops don't want to be seen as weak, so they won't go to a psychologist. They won't use some of these programs that are available in most police departments. They just want, because they don't. I don't want to be taken off duty. I want to remain fit for duty. That's a thing called fit for duty. If they feel
Hmm.
that you're not fit for duty, they can remove you from duty. So they don't want to use these resources. But as police officers, we have to, one, make sure we're able to take those, if we're going through issues, to use those resources. Two, look out for our other guy, because honestly if he gets suspended or taken off duty, I'd rather you do that than you go out and kill somebody or yourself, and then everybody's screwed. So listen, we have to, as police officers, look out for each other and not just protect each other's back from an opposing force, but from ourselves. We have to.
Dre, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I believe number one, you got about 10 or 20% that slip through the cracks.
Mm.
A lot of police departments are built on family bases. Well, since I know you, I grew up with you. Police legacy is huge.
I like the way you said
Um,
that.
in the family, and so if they can be the worst ever, but still be in a position to be moved up, and the whole system is political. I believe they need to implement what I call a panel committee from the community.
Mm.
So the community you serve, let's also have a panel community of different diverse people to say, how would you respond? Let's get a attitude from this officer who probably never been around black people except for what he's seen on TV or his training or her training, which is a problem. How is the training put in place when individuals see criminals?
Mm.
Because I tell you, there's a psychological effect that if you only see or hear that black people do evil,
You're gonna
then
perceive it.
you will look at them in a certain way that they will kill me or respond to me be quicker. Because brother Rasheed, me, you, and Dre, we can go into the hood and still go into a party or places, and they be like, oh man, what's up, brother Rasheed? What's up, brother Dre? And they still cool.
Right.
But a white person's not gonna do that. So who does white people usually hang around? White people.
Mm.
And so they're comfortable. So even if when people say, well, what about the person who has attack they got a gun and they talking them down, because that's all they hang around.
Mm.
So we have to change the narrative in the process of how you can talk to people, present things. And like brother Rashid said, man, what's going on with you today? I said an officer should be evaluated every 3 months.
Wow.
Every 3 months, come in for a nice thorough, man, you doing okay? Because like he said, man, you are having to navigate people's lives in your hands. And on the flip side, what's going on in your own house, probably where you being disrespected. Police got the highest suicide rate.
Wow.
Police got one of the highest divorce rates.
Wow.
They got the one of the highest narcotic rates of alcoholism. Come on, man. So
Wow.
you are expected to do some of the greatest things in protect and serve, but yet you're not getting serviced according to the system to help you out to protect and serve.
With that said, I appreciate you guys coming on and sharing and launching Black Shield. Dre and Rashid, thank you for helping me come up with the creative mindset to do this. This is definitely a need. But why don't you guys both tell me, why is there a need for such a podcast in your mind? Let's start with you, Rashi.
Well, because social media is so big and putting all the negative stuff out, so it's good to put a positive spin. And it's not necessarily, I don't know, you say positive spin, but a different mindset to it. Put faces to it, because a lot of people don't know these places. They just know what the media, how they introduce them. With this, you're going to be able to meet us, know what, our struggles, know what we're going through, and then read, kind of going through our mindset. Why would this happen? Because the questions that you ask are some of the questions that citizens have as well. Well, why would you do this and why would you do that? Well, now you can hear directly from the horse's mouth, because between all three of us, you probably had close to 80 years of law enforcement experience,
Mm-hmm.
in different aspects of law enforcement, not just patrol, but different aspects of that. So you get that from us. You'll be able to get, and also I'm sure you're going to have a situation people can ask questions as well,
Right, right.
and you can get your questions answered by legitimate people. We're not here we're not here to promote a particular brand other than the podcast itself. We're not here to promote certain. We're going to tell you the truth. We're not going to tell you, oh well, I want y'all to promote peace and happiness today. No, we're going to tell you the real deal, and you get it from the horse's mouth.
Dre.
So I think that's why it's a great platform for that.
I appreciate that. Dre, what's your take on why is there a
Yes,
need for Black Shield?
man, Black Shield is needed because of the number one, education. We are here to educate. And as I said at the beginning, I'm not here to play sides. I'm here to save lives. And just yesterday, I'm still, of course, in Cincinnati. The tension is hot, and it's going to be hot for a while.
Right.
But I understand that I'm trying to save lives, so I have to still give individuals a positive mindset that there are still good police officers out there. Don't brand me because of my uniform. So I'm still waving. How y'all doing? And it was a group of three black sisters with their kids, and they're like, "Nah, we're not gonna wave." And then they tell their children, "Hey, don't speak to the police. Now leave them alone." But then when they approach us with their kids saying, "Oh, you better be good, or they gonna arrest you." Stop that noise right now, because you're already planting
The seed.
something in your children's head to run from the police. Run from them, because they either gonna lock you up, something bad gonna happen. Don't do anything. Then I saw a black father. I waved at him. He was with his kids. He waved. Then his kids echoed it and waved back.
Mm.
So how you discipline your kids and you raise them to say, look, I don't. At some point, you will need the police. What happens if you stranded on the side of the road? The police come. What you gonna do? Run? Act crazy? Be ignorant on the side of the highway? No. I need you to assist me. So we gonna educate people
Mm.
to help them break this stigma of what they think they know, and show them what exactly should happen in this process. And prayerfully, even in my retirement, I'm gonna help consult more to where if you got problems in a particular area, agency, then Brother Dre gonna be that advocate for you to say, nah, this is how it should have been set up. Let's look deeper into it.
Guys, thank you so much. And we'd like to thank X for coming on the show and being part of you guys' Black Shield podcast program. Ladies and gentlemen, coming soon, 2025, this spring, this summer, the new podcast, Black Shield, starring Andre Ewing, Rasheed Lightford, and Xcalibur Miller. Once again, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been another exciting episode of the Andre, the Beast, Crayton Show.